For those of you that don't know me, my name is Memory Bartlett, and I'm the CEO and president of the Fountain Valley Chamber. Welcome. It's pretty early. I hope you guys have your coffee and are ready to enjoy some time together getting to know our newest council members. I'm going to start by asking everybody to just quickly, 10-15 seconds, introduce yourself. And I know the screen is different on everybody's screen, so I will just announce you, and then if you would be able to introduce yourself. So we'll start with our chief.
Good morning, everybody. It's Matt Shepard. I'm the Chief of Police for the City of Fountain Valley.
And thank you. John Etheridge.
My name's John Etheridge. I own a company called Seashore Pest Control. It's in Huntington Beach, but I live here in Fountain Valley.
Rayanne.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rayanne. I'm the marketing coordinator at Edinger Medical Group. I did live in California for a little bit, but now I'm working remote. So I'm on the East Coast, and I'm just tuning in from Eastern Standard Time.
Not so early where you are, huh?
No, it's 11, so it's a good time.
Good. Peggy.
Hi, Peggy Tabus, Slater Investments. We're a real estate development partnership.
Thank you. Vince.
Morning, everybody. I'm Vince Sosa Real Estate Team with Coldwell Banker, and I'm also the chairman of the chamber.
Cookie.
Dennis.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dennis Cole, and I am on the Fountain Valley Schools Foundation as one of the directors there. My wife and Christy and I have lived in Fountain Valley for about 15 years, and in my day job, I work as the Director of District Partnerships for the Orange County Department of Education.
How you doing, Dennis?
Thank
Hey,
you.
goodness.
Brian.
Hello, Dennis. Hey, how you doing, everybody? Brian Genovese. I'm the chair-elect for the chamber, also real estate agent / professional volunteer. So I know most everybody here, so it's great to see everybody here. Thanks for everybody coming this morning and getting up so early. We appreciate that, and looking forward to a great meeting today.
Thank you. Dusty.
Good morning, everybody. Dusty Lininger of Lininger Mortgage. I'm a mortgage broker for home loans and refis, and also a board of directors member for Fountain Valley Chamber of Commerce.
And a dang good golfer.
Thank you. Barbara.
Hi, good morning. I'm Barbara Mons. I'm on the board of the Fountain Valley Community Foundation and program chair for the Women's Club. Lived here since 1995 and glad to be here this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Barbara.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Gary.
Good morning. I'm Gary Foreman. Most of you know me as one of the shareholders of Fountain Bowl, which is being sold. I am starting my newest venture with my office manager. We're calling ourselves Books and Balances Orange County, which is a bookkeeping notary service. I'm also a professional volunteer in about 6 organizations. I'm also now the executive director of the Bowling Industry Trade Association SoCal chapter and CFO and secretary of the Chamber of Commerce, and I've been for a long time. Good morning. Nice to see you all.
Good morning.
Gary.
Morning. Cody.
Hey, my name's Cody. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm the public relations coordinator with Rosie Dental right in Fountain Valley. So yeah, hope you guys are doing good.
Thank you. Debbie.
Hi, good morning. Debbie Kelly with Republic Services. I also serve on the board of Fountain Valley Chamber, and my company picks up the trash and recycling in the city of Fountain Valley.
Thank
Morning,
you.
Debbie.
Eduardo.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Eduardo Higuchi Wealth Group. I'm a board member at the chamber. What I do is help people, business owners, get ahead.
Thank you, Eduardo. Austin.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Austin Mejia. I'm a field representative and caseworker for Congresswoman Michelle Steele in the 48th Congressional District. Just wanted to invite everyone to check out steele.house.gov and to sign up for our newsletter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Austin. And let me put my, Andre.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Andre Ramirez, I'm CEO of Flick Power. We're a new patented light switch that provides color-coded signals to help people reduce energy during high-cost times and also reduce energy to hopefully avoid blackouts this summer.
That is great. Thank you, Andre. Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Cameron. I am getting feedback here. I am on the board of the Fountain Valley Women's Club, the Fountain Valley Community Foundation, and the Fountain Valley Schools Foundation, and love volunteering in this community.
Thank you,
Great lady
Tracy.
too. Hey, Tracy.
Thank you. Let's see. Okay, so I have somebody here that says iPhone. I'm not sure who that is, but if you can unmute.
Memory, it's me. It's Annette.
Oh, hi, Annette. You want to introduce
Hi.
yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I am Annette Shireen. I'm a 36-year resident of Fountain Valley. I volunteer for the Community Foundation, and I also am the sponsorship coordinator for our special events here in the city. And I am actually sitting at a light driving to work. So when I get there, I'll get on video.
Great. Thanks, Annette. Rob?
Hi, Rob Houston, City Manager, City of Fountain Valley, and partner with the Chamber wherever we can. Good to see you all this morning.
Thank you, Rob.
Morning, Rob.
Thank you. And I am sure that you all know our newest council members, Glenn Grandis and Ted Bowie. I'm going to let them introduce themselves longer in just a minute, so we'll hold off on their brief introductions and let them do a little bit of a longer one. So again, I want to welcome everybody here. This is our chance as business, community, and residents to get to know our newest council members a little bit better. So it's meant to be very low key. It's open discussion. So we're going to allow them a chance to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about their history, what some of their goals are in the city and stuff like that. And then we're going to open it up for you guys to ask questions, to discuss things with them, and have it be very casual. And just we're having coffee with our newest board council members. Okay. So Glenn, I will let you go first if you want to unmute yourself and take the floor.
Great, thank you. So I have I put together about 57 slides, and I've got about an hour and a half to, just kidding. So let's see, I know almost everybody on here already. I am a 41-year resident of Fountain Valley. I went to Fountain Valley High School and started in volunteering for the city with the Fountain Valley Key Club, which is the high school level of the Kiwanis Club. So this is my 41st year, or will be. I'm 40 years in the Fountain Valley Kiwanis family now. So I love Kiwanis and been doing that for a long time. I'm the founding director of the Fountain Valley Community Foundation, along with Barbara. And you may know the charity poker tournaments that we do. I'm the director for the charity poker tournament. We've done, gosh, probably 32, 33 of those, and have raised over $700,000 for nonprofits in our community. Looking forward, hopefully in the fall, to doing that again. Hopefully we'll be allowed to. Let's see, what else? I'm on the Educational Foundation for the Fountain Valley School District. And in my personal career, I'm starting a new job on Monday. I'm going to work for a company called Citrix, which I've been involved in selling high technology equipment to state and local governments. So my territory will be all of Southern California for municipalities and cities. So I get to see both sides of procurements when it comes to city. I also cover Hawaii now too. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go to Hawaii probably about 4 times a year for work, which is just really a bummer, but you know, somebody's gotta do that. Let's see, part of the Friday morning golfers with Vince Sosa and John Etheridge and a bunch of other guys, and missing my good friend Bill Cameron, who was part of that. So enjoy golfing. I'm really bad at it, but I do enjoy it. My goals
It is very
for this,
bad.
yeah.
You're gonna have to learn to surf too if you're going to Hawaii. by the way.
Yeah, there you go. I surfed one time in my life. I was able to stand up and I got a picture of it. So I'm a surfer. But my goals for the city, just real quick, is and why I'm joining. We have so many new or potential developments that are up now. You know, the Boomers, Fountain Bowl, Slater Investments property, the farm across from Miles Square Park, now potentially the Fry's property, and a bunch of others. There's some really big major decisions that are coming up. We also have RENA numbers, which are the housing numbers, where we have to add additional about 4,800 new dwellings in our city. And there's going to be some really tough decisions that need to be made. They're going to be unpopular for a lot of people, but our hands are tied. The state is mandating that. We've appealed and lost along with every other city in the state. So stand by and you know, we're going to help answer those questions. So what's important to me is obviously developing housing as much as we can, and also attracting revenue generating businesses to our community and helping those businesses that are already here. You know, we need the revenue in our city. It's super important. We have major debt through unfunded pension liabilities, and you know, everything that we do going forward, it's going to be an eye on housing and an eye on income producing for the city. So I don't know, Memory, do you want me to stop there, or what else would you like to know?
That's good. And let's move on and get a little background from Ted. And then I know I wrote down a couple notes while you were talking to come back to you. So let's let Ted introduce himself and we'll come back. Ted, are you here? Hold on.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Okay. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, Ted Boyer. Obviously, Memory, I was introduced as the new council. Thank you so much. A resident of Fountain Valley. This is going to be 7 years. Both all my kids have gone to Tamara High School, and also my son who graduated from Fountain Valley High School. And in terms of profession-wise, I am a founder for a business loan company, and also I do the daily operations for my wife law office. We both graduate law school. Just one of us decided to take the bar only, and we elect her to be the one. Someone else has, you know, what's the word? Have to bring the bread and butter while she's doing the prepping for the bar, and believe me, it was not easy. It was a lot of hard work. In addition to that, my kids love this neighborhood. They really miss Boomer, because every year we go to Boomers, and unfortunately we have to lose Boomer. So, and that's about it. Other than that, I'm a president-elect for Rotary Club, and a secretary for Fountain Valley School Foundations. Last year, combined with this last January 30th, we were able to bring in about 35,000 pounds of food to our local resident, donated by OC Food Bank. Approximately 2,500 meals donated by Bracken's Kitchens. 500 hand sanitizer by Dr. John Sato, and 2,000 masks also from Dr. John Sato, which is, we had a great help from the Fountain Valley Rotary Club, that the volunteers came out to help. We had some other volunteers, the veterans came out to volunteers as well to help with that successful event. And also we had the which is how should I say it? We didn't know it. The fire chief came out with his crew, and the Fountain Valley police came out also to support. So that was amazing. So thank you for that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Very good. All right. So since I am the host, I will ask the first question, because I'm pretty anxious. I know, and maybe both of you can give a little answer. It was part of Glenn's beginning, so I'll let him go first. But I know you had mentioned that there are some decisions coming up that won't be very popular. And I notice often when I am scrolling through the Fountain Valley Community Forum group on Facebook, you know, this past week I saw somebody ask, could we build a community garden at the Boomers Center? And I mean, that's beautiful. Who wouldn't want a community garden right there, right? That's amazing. I would love it. But there are, I mean, there are reasons why we have to do what we have to do with that land, right? So can you explain those reasons a little bit more? You know, talk a little bit more about the RENA numbers, what they are and what they mandated that we do and those kinds of things.
Okay, well, that's probably an hour-long conversation, but the RETA numbers are basically, I'm going to use round numbers, 4,800 new dwellings. So we just had a report, and you can watch on City Council, go back and watch the video on it, but we have 4,800 new unit dwellings that need to be in the city, including ADUs and other stuff that could count towards that. 2,200 units of which have to be affordable housing too. So we really need to juggle that. In terms of the Boomers property, that's private property. So as much as we would love to put a community garden there, that's not our property or our decision to make. That's up to the property owner, and I understand it's up for sale or hopefully being sold soon and will be developed into, we'll see. They'll come back to City Council with that. I will say that I pushed through the Community Foundation for a community garden. I want to put it over on Newland and Warner. There's underneath the wires there next to the shopping center. So there's parking, there's a little road there. I will say that the prior council pushed back on me on that. So now that I'm on council, I'm going to bring that back up and see if that's something we could do, if Edison will allow it. I think it would be great to have a community garden that is worked through the Community Foundation. And it could raise a little money for the foundation at the same time. Did that answer your question, or would you like more details?
No, I think that was pretty good. Ted, do you have anything you want to add to that? About the, I mean, pretty good answer.
Well, the Boomer site, our city manager has different plan for that site. So I don't think having a community garden, it's the proper location for there, because obviously, as you can see, our city expenditure yearly being increased. For example, Mayor Michael Bull brought to our attentions in 2010, the city expenditure was around 30 million. Now we're at 65 million. And keep in mind that this is a small city. We are only a 9-mile square land. So we're max of capacity in terms of land development. So adding another garden community, are we going to be able to sustain or budget expenditure versus a revenue? Not saying that we shouldn't have one, but is it the right location? Is it the right time? That's the problem. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't have one, but we have to balance that out. Obviously, what is the numbers going to look like in 20 years from now? Obviously, our staff needs to have its increase to fluctuate the inflations, the cost of doing business as a city. It's a balance, and that needs to be measured, and that needs to be discussed. That needs to be evaluated prior than just say, yeah, I'd like to have it, but yet we have to look at the consequence 20 years from now, because we are fully developed. People are saying, well, we'll get the tax from the property, but property does not generate as much tax versus as a site that has business and property on top. So, and I'm if Rob want to elaborate a little bit more on that, but that's, and I think Rob Houston has a very good point. Thank you.
I agree. And I'm glad that you guys both brought that up, that, you know, it's what we want and what is our reality You know, you really have to balance those things. Rob, do you want to add anything to that, or?
I don't know. I think it was covered pretty well. It's like you're all business owners, so the concept of, you know, you have certain revenues and bills, and you have a mission of what you're trying to provide and a priority list. And so, you know, if you have a restaurant and somebody says, "Hey, can we just, you know, use half your dining area for a nice, you know, nonprofit to set up crafts and arts or something?" It's like, well, that's awesome. That's great. However, I kind of rely on that as a revenue source, and I have all these costs and employees that are needing me, and customers that love my food. And so any assets that are out there, like that's a private restaurant. They have a right to make money. And then with the Boomer site, same thing. They have a right to get a return on their investment, and they have bills to pay, and they have business to run. And so their mission isn't to just provide free space for the public. Where the city can, we try to provide things like parks and areas like that, and you know, maybe a community garden if it could work out. But we also have to make sure we have the revenue to keep the police and firemen paid, and the roads paved, and all those, you know, services that are our core mission. So it's a dilemma, but we like dilemmas, and we like fixing them, and we like finding creative new ways to get cool things like community gardens at the city if we can do it.
Great. Thank you, Rob. You guys do a very good job at it, I will say. I have many more questions, but I'm going to let you guys ask some. So if you have a question, you can either just raise your hand or put your emoji thing up. Hey, John. Oh, wait, you got to unmute.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us here this morning. Thanks to Glenn and Ted and Rob and Matt, our city officials, for joining us. And it's such a great conversation to have. My question is for both of you, and even for Rob, and I don't even know if there's truly an answer to this. A couple years ago, we went through the Fountain Valley Crossings project and the rezoning of that Fountain Valley Crossings area. And part of my reason for supporting that change was to get some type of city center or gathering place for young people, for kids, right? I have 3 daughters that are in their 20s now, and they literally leave my city to go buy coffee. And that is a maddening, absolutely maddening reality. And now we've lost Boomers, and now we're presumably losing the bowling alley. So there's literally not a single thing to do for young people in Fountain Valley. What are we going to do to attract something to the city that will make young people want to be here? I get that it's a nice bedroom community, and I love being here. My wife and I love living here. We've been here over 20 years. I grew up here and went to Fountain Valley as well. But we need some semblance of a city center where we can gather, have a coffee, have a game, have something fun to do. And literally there's not a thing like that here other than the park.
Thank you, John. That is.
I don't know if there's a question there. I just vomited. So.
No, I think that's good. Ted, this time we'll let you go first.
Yes, John, thank you. Good to see you again. Thank you for asking that questions. As a matter of fact, actually, I've spoke with Rob reference to this. I even want to go even a step farther than not just a place to hang out. I'd like to see if, obviously, all this comes down to land, what we have, or what landowners are willing to propose for development. I'd like to see if we could, by saying this, is when an opportunity comes, of course we want to hear what they have to say, but at the same time, we'll go ahead and inject our own idea. For example, not only a place for young to gather for the community, but have a landmark for Fountain Valley. So Fountain Valley, it has its landmark, which is the park, Mile Square Park. But not saying that it's a great place, but not everyone wants to go to the park as a landmark. It's something that's more exciting, more interesting. So everyone hears about it and wants to come to Fountain Valley to find out what it is. And that's the part that I want to bring those ideas, stir those ideas up with Rob and others community leaders when the time is right. But the only thing you can bring that up is when the opportunity knock on the door. And when the opportunity knock on the door, we have to be ready to grab it, not shy away, not injecting negativity, because that's when things doesn't get constructive. So that's what, like I say, when the opportunity comes there, it's like we have to recognize the opportunity and move with it. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you, Ted. Glenn, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, so for the crossing specifically, I think that was basically the question, what could we do there? So the first thing that the city has done is we have a rock climbing company that opened up there, which hopefully will bring other businesses into that area. The difficulty with the crossings, I believe there's 88 different property owners there. And to get them all to work together to have a developer come in and do something really major there, it's going to take a long time. But I think with Maggie Lee and her reaching out to businesses to try and attract them as a business development person, I think that's something the city is doing. We are reaching out to try and get the right types of businesses, and if there's an incentive that's needed to bring the right company in, I think the council will consider that. The sports park over at Mile Square, there's going to be hopefully some major developments going in there. I don't think that's anything that's, I know it was presented to council, so I don't out of turn, but hopefully that will make even the sports park a more place that would be good for a gathering area. So there's some changes and hopefully some motivation to bring people out to there as well. So you're right, John, it's unfortunate that, places like Boomers and the bowling alley, especially with this last year, is, unfortunate circumstances, but we need to go out and attract those businesses, and business development with Maggie Lee, et cetera. I think that's the way to do it.
Thank you. We did have somebody type in chat too, a little bit of what you just said. Why wouldn't we entice or advertise that we are looking for activities into the city? Why wait for them to knock on our doors? I think, Rob, do you want to speak to this maybe a little bit? I know that Maggie goes to Las Vegas for the conference and stuff like that to entice businesses to the city. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah, and I think our council members have mentioned that there has been some activity with the Planet Granite. If anyone's gotten a chance to look at that, when they reopen, it's very impressive, both a fitness center, yoga, and a massive climbing area. And it was hopping pretty good before the closures with a lot of younger people. So we're encouraged about that and the crossings. Councilmember Grandis was being very careful with his wording, but prior to him being on council, this concept that he was, we do have a financial piece of a exciting project at the park that we do keep private, but the concept of the goals mini soccer center has actually been brought up as a presentation, so we can disclose that that's on the table, and so that will be it's in discussions. We are planning on it working out, and it would be located right beside the Boys and Girls Club at the sports park. On the main field there, a company would privately build small-sided soccer fields complex with 10 fields, 5-on-5 sized, with artificial turf, lighting, sports bar, place to hang out, all attached at their dollar, and the city would get revenue from it. So that's an example of us trying to work to get entertainment in town. I think it's exciting. So look forward to seeing if that can all pan out. And then we actually had on Myola, if everyone knows where Myola Park is, behind the Stonefire Grill, there's a old school there. The school district was looking at selling that for various uses, and one of the proposers was a guy who wanted to build a surf lake with a hotel attached, and it would have an automatic wave pool that would generate surf waves. So he had this big plan, and he was setting up, he wanted to put that in town, but it looked pretty conceptual. It didn't look that sophisticated, and it was that school property, not city property. So the school decided that wasn't the most viable option for their asset, and they went with a housing development. So certainly we're open to have those dialogues, but it has to return money for the property owner. And some of those entertainment options, like Boomers, it was there, but it wasn't making money. And so that's the tough part, is, we're not in a place to subsidize something. Hey, it would be cool to have a trampoline park. It's like, well, it doesn't pencil out from a business perspective. I don't know what we can do, but we do want to hear from people if they have ideas. We want to be creative. And I would say, though, John said his kids can't get a drink in town, but if they switch from coffee to tea, we are a hopping tea place. If you go to Share Tea, The Alley, Seven Leaves, we have a new one coming down, Brooker Scarfield soon. There's lineups at these tea places, and I'm starting to drink milk tea, trying it out, trying to be hip with the kids. I think I just showed I'm not by that statement. But anyways, we are trying to attract. We've got a lot of new restaurants, so it's a struggle. But as Glenn said, I think our council really is into getting business going. We've got Maggie working with the business community. We've got the chamber. We are trying to team up and make some changes.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you.
Memory, if I could expand on that for a minute, from my perspective, as far as the entertainment, these ventures and venues are very expensive. The last traditional bowling center that was built in the state of California, actually Southern California, was in 1990 in Anaheim. Right? What you see here, the traditional bowling center, is probably not duplicable at this point because of the economics. It is impossible to build a building like this, equip it, even at a smaller size, with the real estate values today, and make any money. So I do not believe seriously in my time, at least anyway, there'll be a bowling center going in Fountain Bowl just because of the economics. It's the same thing with the skate parks and all of that. The land values are just too high. You really have to have far lower square foot rental or purchase price to make a go at a business like this. So it's just what I'm telling you, because I've been around in the business for 33 years and I understand it.
Thanks, Gary.
Right.
That's some good insider info. We had kind of a question / comment in the chat. It sounds like everything that we are talking about is sports park related. And kind of back to John's point, where do people of all ages go together? Imagine like a mini Pacific City, and a center, I think is what they're talking about, a center for where you can go and have lunch and get a coffee and maybe go paint some pottery, or I don't know what, but where you can kind of spend a few hours, where you can go to on date night or something like that. Is there any way? I guess it's kind of a statement that we would love to see that, but it is also a question in is there anything that the chamber or local businesses can do to help bring that to fruition? Is there, now I have never worked on the government aspect of things, but is there a chance to pull those property manager or property owners in the crossings project all together to say, this would be amazing, what do you guys think? Or to try and get some momentum or dialogue happening there? If Glenn or Ted or Rob, any of you want to talk to that? Go ahead.
There's a saying, what's the best way to be together in all type of ethnicity? The answer is food. Why do I say food? It's comforting. I think everybody like to enjoy food. Like in Anaheim, there's an area called Pack District. It was a rundown area. It was not developed. It was I'm not sure who brought the idea, but they created that area called I think Anaheim Pack District. I think that's what they call it. And in that area, there's all kind of food in there. And when it was no more time, I went by and kind of visited, see how it is like. And I personally myself, I enjoyed the area. There's an area all age can get together. There's all kinds of different kind of food from, coastal food all the way down to Louisiana. So it was a great experience there. And my kids was, oh, Dad, we could try this food. We never had this kind of food before. So that was great. I thought that was a great concept. And hopefully the crossing, when the time comes, and like Glenn said, he's absolutely correct. The difficulty part of the crossing is we get too many parcel that's owned differently by so many different owners. So how can we get them together and come up with something like that? And I think it would be great. Food it's a good gathering for me.
No disrespect, Ted, but don't you think we have enough restaurants? We want entertainment. What are we going to do on date night? We can go to food. There's plenty of that in town. But what about like movies, or we lost a bowling alley, but something to entertain, as a family or as a couple. There's nothing to do in Fountain Valley like there used to be. Even go miniature golf, it's all gone.
You're absolutely correct on that. But when we say that, when you have food, you could have entertainment. I'm not saying that we have it in like an outdoor entertainment van in the area where this food is at. Obviously, all this entertainment, for example, like an outdoor activity, has to be in an area that's not going to be disruptive to a resident, because it's going to be loud. It's going to be a lot of people, so it has to be somewhat in the commercial area.
Ted, can I ask you a question here? What about, Mile Square Park's got that large hangar? I'm sorry, I don't know what it's called. Where there's
Freedom Hall,
been
I believe.
Freedom Hall. So we've got this enormous building, this entity that's there that doesn't affect any of the residents, any of our surrounding residents, and I'd be really interested to see, and I don't think or if anybody has done a study as far as how many people are actually going to the park. I see lots of people when it's really nice, and hopefully once COVID has resolved and we all get back out in the community, that we'll see more, people using the park. But there's no revenue for that park. Most people are parking for free, they're biking in, so the parks, we're paying for it no matter what. But as businesses, holding something in the, arena area and bringing more things on a constant basis could create those things that we all desire. Businesses being able to sponsor or host with more advertising. It can be a date night. It can be teenage focused, depending on what the kind of, entertainment or what we're trying to attract there. So what are we doing with that space? Who's paying for that, and who's kind of, in charge of that, and who can we communicate with to see what everybody can see this as a win-win? I mean, imagine you're a restaurant that can bring a sponsorship and you're willing to sample your food when we can get to that space, and it's really more of that kind of gathering space. People are paying for parking, which I know that's a park revenue. It's not necessarily coming to the city, but anybody that's coming to spend dollars, and that space is already there. We're not talking about rebuilding a whole new center. So can anybody answer what we could do with that, or how we can make that more approachable, I suppose?
Yeah,
I'll take that one.
Okay.
So just first off, it's county property, not city property, Laura. So just so you're aware that we don't have much control over the Freedom Hall. By the way, say hey, Dr. Arnold, for me. I'm his patient there. But over on the sports park side, we do the concerts in the park in the summer. I would like to see us do many more events there. And I think I think Rob Frizzell and team, I think, are willing to do that as well. There's other efforts going on in the city. To answer the question about entertainment at night and such, hopefully Slater Investments will put in a nice restaurant over there. I think that's part of the plan, and maybe it'll be entertainment at night as well. I think that's what we have to look for too in the development areas like Fountain Bowl and some of the other areas that boomers that will be developed, that potentially, we want to go out and have Maggie help recruit, and the chamber can do this as well. Put the word out there. That's the type of businesses that we're looking for. entertainment for our community, but we do have the sports park, and I think we need to utilize that more and put on bigger and more events potentially over there. Unfortunately, again, on the other side, you know, it's just not our property, so we don't have much control over that. I don't know, Ted, if you want to expand on that.
Actually, Glenn, you're absolutely correct. It is a county property. To answer your question, in my experts, it actually that's Andrew Dole. He is the one who is in charge of that area, which is District 1. So I actually spoke with him, reference, and Rob can weigh in on this one because I believe Rob was aware of this one. The problem is Andrew Dole, who's in charge of the Freedom Hall, is not willing to rent out or lease out that building to any vendors who wants to who wants to organize something such like a concert or whatnot. His argument was like he said that he was afraid that it's going to deteriorate the building. And although we brought to the point that any vendors that go through have insurance, you know, anything that is get damaged or whatnot, insurance will cover, but still yet there is some concern. So that's why it's not leased out at this point to anybody. Perhaps he may change his mind in the near future, but on the last conversation, that's where we were standing.
That's important. Dusty has a question. Where is he? I don't know. Oh, there he is.
John had a question.
Yeah,
too, I believe.
Memory, I'll let you pick who can address it, but I'd like to hear a little more. I understand the state has kind of randomly assigned quotas for new housing. And I heard somewhere it was over 4,000 units in Fountain Valley. You know, I understand we are expanding the thoroughfares, the bridges, but even with that, it seems like that might be unrealistic. And I'd like to hear, are we required to do that? Is there an end date, or is it really not achievable? And what are we doing about that? Because I don't think our little community, which is a nice place to live, is really built to handle another 4,000 residences.
Okay, thank you, Dusty. Glenn spoke to that a little bit before, saying, you know, that number they've tried to push back and appeal, you know, for an appeal on that, and they have not been granted one. I know that it's not just Fountain Valley, it's also Huntington Beach, Costa Mesa, pretty much all surrounding cities. The state is mandating this, and they're even going as far as to want to put people in council meetings, I've heard, to make sure. I mean, it's pretty vigorous that they want to do this. But it does count also ADUs, accessory dwelling units. So a mother-in-law's quarters, or, you know, anything that's built onto your house, that does count. But Ted, do you have anything you want to say to that?
Yes, I can. The issue is it's a mandate, and if we're not compliant to that particular mandate, when the fund comes around, it might be a little bit of a challenge for the city to get certain funding from the state. And it gets to the point that there are planning to impose certain fine if we're not up to par into the state mandate. However, our city, we have done a wonderful job through the city staff with the Rob Houston leaderships. We are actually on the path actually ahead of schedule. When I say ahead of schedule, that we're not behind. So although that there's certain things they're not 100% accepting the ADU, but the consensus is we'll probably get some sort of credit for moving toward that path.
Very good. Thank you, Ted.
Quick comment on that, Memory. So we have the GPAC that is meeting on a regular basis now. It's a group of individuals who are determining how we get to those RHNA numbers and those housing units. We have to do it by 2029. It has to be zoned for it. Doesn't mean that all units are going to be built by 2029, but we have to have a plan, a realistic plan and proof that it's being zoned for. So attend the GPAC meetings. It's online. and it's very informative.
Thank you. Glenn, if you can send me any information you have on those meetings, I'd be happy to push it out to our members, the GPAC that you're talking about. Thanks. Rob, do you have anything you want to add to that, or are you good?
It's a bear. Many cities are struggling with these assigned numbers. The real snafu that occurred was a year ago when they were assigning the new 8-year housing numbers. Riverside and LA counties combined together and shoved tons of their units down into the southern part of the basin, and Orange County got really shafted, and so our numbers exploded, and so we tried to appeal that. We were expecting our numbers would go to around 1,500 units for eight years, and we got 4,800. So it's, one could say unrealistic, but we have to do it because as Councilmember Boy alluded to, there's penalties, and it could be as bad as them taking away the ability for us to issue any other development permits, so that we could get frozen where nothing else could get built. That would be the extreme, but that's the level of power that the state can crush us with. So with the GPAC, we're trying to have community conversations to say, if we had to put these units in places that are the least impactful, how could we do that? And then we have to shoulder on the properties to add up to 4,800. And then, but the state doesn't own any of this land. So it would be up to a developer to say, I want to put in that many units. And then they may say, you said 400 units on this property. I only want to build 200. Well, they're not forced to do 400. Then it's a question of, okay, then we're going to get less than the number. What do we do about that? So it's a pain. It's been the focus of the city for the last year. GPAC's focusing on it. You'll see it come back in public meetings for discussion. And we wish the state didn't do this to us. That's, I guess, the bottom line. But we're trying to mitigate the impacts as much as possible.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Let me see real quick. I want to make sure.
Mary?
Yes.
I think you need to ask for clarification, because I've done a little bit of research just out of curiosity. First of all cities in the state are required to do this. Okay, the state has imposed this on everybody. Secondly, the ADUs do not count. The city, I believe, if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the city officials has asked for a waiver to allow those ADUs to count.
Well,
but generally, legally, they do not count. If the state chooses not to grant, or actually SCAG, it goes to SCAG, I believe, chooses not to grant that waiver, they don't have to. There's nothing in the legislation that says that they could be out, that they have to use them as an offset. So I believe council could correct me, but from what I've read, that's how the state has done this. I've also been told that at one point they threatened to, or maybe have sued Huntington Beach, because Huntington Beach wasn't, they were trying to push for some compliance, or maybe they were using them, as a, to show their force, but I do believe that happened.
Rob?
I could quickly respond on the two items. One, on Huntington Beach, their attorney decided to sue the state and say, we're a charter city and we're protected and you can't make us do any of this. And they essentially lost that. So they're doing the plan just like everybody else, sadly. But as far as the question on ADUs, we've had a long conversation with HCD. It's a department within the state. Brian James, my planning director, has led that effort. And he's been successful. We just got word back, as loose as they are with their language and their inability to really give us a firm decision, we've gotten an understanding that we'll be able to count ADUs that are built as units. And the key component that we've been pushing is counting the bulk, many of them, as affordable units, because the real pain in all of this is 1/3 of all that 4,800 needs to be affordable housing. And there's not, our real estate is so expensive, it's very hard to get affordable units. And so we can, even if we could get 4,800 units, how do we get the affordable? So that's the biggest struggle. If a bunch of those could be counted within our ADUs, that helps. But we're not going to have 4,800 ADUs. We're not going to, but back to Gary's point, we are getting progress in being able to count them as units.
Great. Thank you, Rob. John? Oh, you're muted.
Yep. Okay, thanks. Thank you again. And I understand Vince's point in saying that there's a lot of restaurants here, and that may very well be true. But what Laura was talking about, the development in Huntington Beach called Pacific City, if any of you haven't been there, I encourage you to at least go. It's such a great development, and it's not a big piece of property. If you think about it, it is a very tiny piece of property that holds a lot of different options. It's like the place Ted mentioned in Anaheim. It's a pretty condensed, and I know it's got to make financial sense. And you know, I look at the numbers for the Pacific City development, so I know what those numbers look like, and I know what they looked like prior to COVID. So they've been affected obviously adversely by the COVID lockdowns and things of that nature. But my ardent hope is that we can find some developer that we can encourage to make something that looks like that. You know, that it's just a broad spectrum of commerce, all revenue producing for the city, whether it's a restaurant or a makeup store or a hair salon or a, you know, whatever, a bookshop, whatever else is out there. I guess bookshop is a bad example because there's no bookshops anymore, but you know, tea house, coffee house, you know, whatever. It's such a great development. It's recently changed. The Pacific City development has recently changed hands. And I think, you know, that was probably due to COVID, but because a bunch of those businesses were shut down. But something like that here in our city would be a tremendous revenue producer and a good gathering spot. That's what I'm hoping for.
Thank you, John.
I don't have the money to do it, but you know.
Thank you.
One of you
And
guys must.
I think too, something like Slater Investments property, you know, with these RENA numbers that we are going to have to get to eventually, you know, a mixed use where there's commercial stuff on the bottom and some dwelling units on top is so premium. Yes, Peggy.
Well, I was just going to say, if you don't mind me interrupting, Memory.
No.
A lot of this discussion about creating interesting gathering places and entertainment for the town, you know, I don't mean to sound self-serving, but a lot of this housing and entertainment and gathering places are very much interrelated. And I think if you start to see new housing supplies in Fountain Valley, i.e. those that attract millennials, you will start to see the retailers and the developers of the packed cities or the something less than the packed city come and follow. They will follow the 20s and 30-year-olds. They're not looking to follow 40s and 50s and 60-year-olds. They're looking for the young people. So to me, I think that a lot of these types of spaces will come about if you attract a new housing supply in town. And of course, RENA and the state mandate is kind of forcing you into doing that anyway. So I think those types of spaces will come. Just be patient, and you will see once the 20s and 30-year-olds start living in town, you'll see a lot more entertainment.
Okay. Thank you so much, Peggy. That was a very good point. Very good. Well, we have just eaten up our time, so it went by so fast. I'm kind of sad to call it to a close, but we really do appreciate Glenn and Ted and Rob's time with us this morning, their information, and you guys are welcome at chamber events anytime. We love having you. So thank you for spending time with us today. Do you guys have any closing remarks before we go? Glenn?
Yeah, so just I want to thank everybody for the privilege of being able to talk to all of very important people. I mean, you guys are the lifeblood of our community. You truly are. And know that we're going to continue to support all of our local businesses any way we can. I have a complete open door policy. Call me, email me, text me, whatever you need. go through proper channels first, go through the city the right way. You know, I'm noticing on Facebook a lot of people saying my cat's up in a tree, Glenn, can you help? But, you know, go through the proper channels. But if you have ideas and such for the city, you know, share it with us. We want to hear from you. And I attend all the chamber events anyway, and we'll continue to do so.
Thanks, Glenn. Ted, where are you?
Yes, once again, Brian, thank you for inviting me to the first meeting of the Fountain Valley Chamber of Commerce. And Memory, thank you for posting this event. It's very important to get to hear, you know, the point from the Chamber of Commerce, so we know where we're heading. And you get some information from us from the city level wise, so at least you know what we do as well as how we can help both sides. One question I want to ask is the Chamber of Commerce hosts two activities throughout the years. One is called the Mayor's Ball. The other one, it's called, I think, the State of the City. The fund that is generated in there, do we, because you have two programs, one's called the Explorer, the other one is called, there's a scholarship, I think you're working on that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use portion of that money to contribute to those two programs, or is it going to someone else for different programs already? That I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm. So I can answer that real quick. The money that is made from the state of the city and the mayor's ball, first of all, it's not as much as you would think because they're kind of costly to put on.
Okay.
But the extra money that is made from it, yeah, it goes to helping sustain the Chamber of Commerce because we are a self-funded entity. So besides our member dues, we also put on events throughout the year that help to keep the Chamber of Commerce up and running and helping the businesses in the community. But like you said, so with the Explore Fountain Valley program, we actually worked with Maggie and Rob, and that was something we were contracted to do basically, and it's still going. We had to pause it because of COVID, but we're getting ready. Hopefully Red Tier, I think we're just like right around the corner, right? And then we can open those back up again. And that was using some of the CARES Act funding to support local businesses. So we are having the shopping center showcases where we've already done 2, but there's 6 more to come. We just had to pause it, where we get people going around to the different centers. We host, we do giveaways, we promote it on social media and stuff like that. That is something, basically we were contracted through the city using the CARES Act funding. So that's kind of a separate thing. But there's also the Explorer Fountain Valley Facebook group, which is for the businesses and the community members to connect, where businesses can promote their sales, their specials, and the consumers can go on and find what's happening. You know, it's Tuesday, empanada night at Combalache or whatever. So it's kind of a hub for that. Does that answer your question a little bit? Oh, and we are trying to begin, in fact, we have it, the first phases started, but we are pushing to get a more established grant program type thing for chamber membership. So if you, everybody here should attend my Chamber 101 class, first of all. So you know how important the Chamber of Commerce is in the community and for the businesses and everything we do to help businesses thrive and find access to funding to help promote them and advertise them and just keep them successful in our community. The grant program, because COVID has hit the businesses so hard, we are trying to put this grant program together to be able to give businesses the gift of a year of chamber membership, right? And it's about $3, you know, for a small business, 1 to 5 employees, you know, it's like $350 approximately. And they get a year of chamber membership and all the benefits that come along with that. So that $350 goes a long ways. You know, it's not just like handing them $350. They get access to all these resources, all this information, all this education, advertising opportunities, and so on. So I think it's a way that we can really help the businesses that are hurting, to help uplift new businesses that may be coming to the area, give them a good start in the city. And then hopefully keep them on as members long after that, but at least that will infuse them. So we brought that to our chamber sponsorship packages, and there are some of our sponsors that are adding to that fund. I think we might be doing a bigger community outreach to get more money into that fund here shortly. And hopefully with that, you know, we can basically sponsor these businesses with their chamber membership.
Okay, thank you for answering that questions. The reason I'm asking the question because if I may, I know we ran out of time right now.
No,
on the next meeting, I'll propose something. That's why I need the answer so I know how to formulate it.
Yes, thank you, Ted. And I will contact you outside of this meeting and we can talk about it further too.
Great, thank you so much.
So other than that, I know I just don't want to hold everybody here. I think some of us would stay here all day if we could. I probably would, but we have busy lives to get to. So I want to thank everybody for joining us and wish you all a very happy day. Enjoy it, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Memory. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks,
Thank you.
Glenn and Ted, for being here, and everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you
day.
very much.
Thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
joining
You're
us.
welcome. Thank you. Everyone have a good
See you
one.
later. Bye.
Stay safe.